Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to water different types of orchids. So the orchids that I'm growing right now is Cattleya orchids, Phalaenopsis orchids, and Dendrobium orchids. So I'm going to show you what other signs to look for when you know that your orchid is in need of watering. First of all, let's look at Cattleya orchids, okay? Usually if you pick up the pot and if it's heavy, that means there's still water in the bottom. That means it has completely dry. And another thing is to look at the root. As you see right here, in the medium. If the top medium is really dry, then you know it's time to water. And another thing too is that you poke your finger inside, deep down, and you could feel any dampness or any wet, then you know it's time to water. So in this Cattleya orchids pot, it's still a little damp in the bottom, but on the top it's dry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna water a little bit to have the top moist, okay? And then I'm gonna let it dry out. Okay, first I'm gonna put in a pot. This is our orchid pots, and this is the mesh that comes with it. So it's really neat. So you just put it in, and then you pour, get the pitcher, fill with a lot of water because Cattleya, it depends on what mediums and pot that you put in, it requires a lot of water. So you want to fill the water up all the way to the base of the crown. You don't want to go all the way top to the crowns or else it will rotten the crowns later on. Okay, so right now I'm gonna pour the water into the Cattleya pots. Okay, you rotate it to make sure in each side the root are moist or wet. Okay, so I'm gonna do this really carefully so the water won't spill out. Okay, so right now the water is reaching to the top of the pot because I want the surface of the top root to have a little moisture or touch a little water. Okay, so I'm gonna let this sit for less than 5 minutes and I'm gonna transfer out the water. So next, I'm gonna water Phalaenopsis orchids. These are the string that I made so I could hang my pot. So I'm gonna put it in a pot or any container that fit your orchid size. Same thing. This one, I'm so happy because I see a little spike come. So this is a spike right here. I don't know, you can see here, I'm sorry, right here. Oh, right, there you go. So that is the spike, and this is the root right here, the root. Okay, so this one is gonna flower, gonna give me a flower soon. So I have to be careful with this one. Okay, the same thing for any orchids that you water, make sure that you don't water it all the way in the top to touch the crown or else it's gonna ruin the crowns. So you want to water it, and here's a lot of root. This is not in a really clear transparent spot, but you can see the roots. And then make sure when you get an orchid pot, you make sure you have a lot of holes for ventilation and to prevent any algae to grow. And here's my one of my Phalaenopsis orchids. This orchid, I put it outside under the shades, under the tree during the summer. And right now it's because the weather is getting cold at night, dropping down to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So I take it inside and put it close to the window. So in a way, I already have it a winter rest. And that's the reason why I saw a spike coming up. As you see right here, there's a spike. So I'm gonna water it, pour the water inside, turn it to make sure that the roots, the arrow roots, are moist. Okay, there you go. So this one has some water in it. Okay, so let's check out my Cattleya orchids. Let's check out. Okay, so it's completely, I think less than 5 minutes ago already. I'm gonna take it out of the pot, transfer it out, lift it up, and have the water drain out. See? You want the water to completely drain out. I'm gonna transfer in here. Gonna get another pot that fits, that comes with this basins right here, so it could have water drain out completely. So I'm gonna leave it here, and then later I'm gonna take it outside to hang it outside to let it dry, and I'm gonna put it in the greenhouse. For the Cattleya orchids, you could put it out during the winters, a little bit. The temperature at nighttime 40 to 50, they're okay as long as the leaf doesn't turn frost. Or you could put in your little greenhouse. So I have a little greenhouse outside, so usually I put this in the greenhouse. And during the daytime, with the greenhouse, it has shaded light, so it's receiving the light, indirect bright lights during the daytime. Okay, so let's look at the Phalaenopsis orchids that I just pour water in. I think it's enough time. I think less than 5 minutes. Sit in water, let it drain out completely. And this, I would hang it up close to my window to get indirect light. I will let it drain out. So I'm gonna put in this pot right here so I could let it dry, and then later I'm gonna hang it up. Okay, so let's see how we should water the Dendrobium's orchids. This Dendrobium orchid has been thriving for me, and I like it. I bought this from Hawaii to ship it over to me. When I first bought it, it was this small. And as I've been putting outside, direct light, receive about 2-3 hours of sun per day, the Dendrobium could tolerate the temperature, high temperatures up to 100 degrees, but not sit in the sun for long. So I hang this close to the wall and then receive about 2-3 hours of light in the morning, and it's great, and it's been growing very well. And it's because during the winter the temperatures at nighttime drops between 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, so I have to take it inside the house. And the same thing, I hang it close to the window where it's to receive direct light, indirect light, during the afternoons and morning suns, and it's thriving pretty well. So I hope this one will give me flowers. So let's see how we're gonna water this. The same thing. Oh, I'm running out of my pot. Let me pour water. I'll be back, but I'm still here. Okay, so I just fill my pitchers with water again, and the water could be lukewarm temperatures, not too cold, or else you're gonna shock the root of the orchids. I forgot to tell you, how do you know when to water your Dendrobium? First, if you were to put in a clear container or pot, you could see the root. This one, the root is still a little bit wet, but some of them are dry and it's dry on the top. So for this one, I'm gonna water real quick. Let it take a bath really quick, and then I'm gonna take it out because I don't want to sit this in the water for long because on the bottom is still a little bit wet. So I'm gonna pour it in. I make sure the top of the arrowroot of this Dendrobiums come into contact a little bit water, so it could be hydrated. So I'm gonna leave it here, set it aside for less than 5 minutes. I'm gonna use the same water that I use to water my Cattleya. Some people recommend not to reuse the same water that you water for your other orchids. But in my opinion, as long as your orchids doesn't contain any pest or any disease, you could use the same clean water or the same water to water your other orchids to save water. Okay, so I have to take this Phalaenopsis orchids out to water my next orchids. I'm gonna put in a container right here, let it dry. Now let's water this one. I make a rope to hang up in the wall and the ceiling. This one, the color of this orchid is orange. It hasn't given me any flower yet, but is healthy. And as you can see, how do you know when to water an orchid? If you have any clear pot, you look at the medium and then you look at the root. If the root is paper white like this, it means that it needs water. If the root that is very moist and green, it says that okay, I am close to wanted to get water or wants to drink or want to be hydrated. And then at the same time, you look at the medium. If the medium is dry like this on the top, it means that it is time to water. But if the medium is very, very wet, I don't see this one really wet. So I'm gonna use my judgment and I'm gonna water this because by looking at the root and at the medium and at the surface, root and the medium is dry. So I think this water, this plants, this pot here says it's time to take a bath or to be wet or to drink. So I'm gonna pour the water in here, and at the same time, as any other orchids, it's not recommended to have the water up all the way to the crown. At the base of the crown where the root is the right way to water your orchids. So I'm gonna pour the water into this pot. Okay, so as you can see, the water is at the base of the crown. And let's just say if the water happens to get into the corner of the leaves, between the leaves, then you just get a paper and dump it out. Let me go get paper napkin. Okay, so I saw that there are water between the leaves and I don't want the leaves to get rotten later. So I'm gonna get the paper towel at the edge of the paper towel and then dip it between the leaves where the water is, because you want it to be dry, or else later this leaves it become rotten and it's not good. It wants to be dry. Okay, so let's look at other orchids that I just water, and it's time for them to be out of the pot. So this Dendrobium has been in the pot for like I think 5 minutes already. I'm gonna drain it out, as you see. Okay, so take it out and put in a container where the water, there's some water here, I'm gonna pour back in. So let it sit so the cool water could drip out, and later you could hang it out or hang it where at the location that you want in your house. Okay, so I'm gonna reuse this water again. I have been reusing the same water when I water my orchids at the same time, as long as your orchids does not contain any disease or any mold or anything that will harm other orchids, then it's fine. And it's been doing fine with my other orchids, and never seen anything or any growth or any pests that grow in my orchids or in my mediums. I will disinfect them with hydrogen peroxide, and I will show you how to do that later in the next video. Okay, so I take this one out from the pot and let it drain. I'm gonna let it sit in another container, so let it dry out. Okay, so that is how you water your orchids. If you have any questions, just write a comments, and I'm happy to write or reply back to your comments. And please subscribe to my little garden, and if you like my videos, click on the like button. Thank you and have a good week. Have a nice day. Bye.